The internal combustion engine. It's the best option we have for today, but it's not without problems. Most folks focus on our carbon footprint these days, but the variety of elements primarily responsible for that is often a mystery. A large contributor is the engine you use to drive, fly, mow your lawn, etc., and the most widely used type is the internal combustion engine. The heat loss from such an engine is known, but not yet resolved. The most glaring problem is waste. There's pollution, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, soot, hydrocarbons, noise, etc. And don't forget the carbon. Around 5 pounds of carbon is emitted for every gallon of gas consumed. But perhaps most alarming is the fact that 75% of the fuel that goes into an internal combustion engine comes out as heat rather than motion. According to Scientific American, February 2010, today's vehicles convert up to 25% of gasoline's chemical energy into work. A quarter on the dollar makes the current engine go. In other words, if the world population, 678 billion people, attended a circus that cost $1 but was worth more like a quarter, we'd be overpaying by over 500 billion bucks. Here we'll focus on heat loss since it contributes 60% of the 75% loss of efficiency. That amounts to 45% of the entire problem with internal combustion engines. The movement of the piston within the cylinder requires energy that should be available to its purpose, but is not. The loss is a casualty of war. Energy is required to make the piston move so it can accomplish its purpose to make the vessel move. The energy that moves the contraption but cannot be released by the movement of the vessel, that energy will be lost as heat. If you pedal a bicycle but prevented its movement, the wheel friction on the pavement would eventually burn the tires. Same concept. Most cars and trucks still use the same internal combustion engine on which the Model T depended 100 years ago. And while the Model T boasted 25 miles per gallon in 1908, the average car mileage for 2008, according to the EPA, was only 20.8 miles per gallon. The Detroit News admits that even this EPA figure is inflated, as most drivers achieve only about 75% of the EPA mileage figures. Our government is requiring a new standard of 35.5 miles per gallon by 2016, and the current idea for engines based on internal combustion cannot come close. Oh, but they're not going away. In its June 2000 policy study, The Increasing Sustainability of Cars, Trucks, and Internal Combustion Engine, the Heartland Institute predicted that it will be 30 years before even a modest 10% of all cars and trucks on the nation's roads are powered by something other than the internal combustion engine. While the technology does exist to make alternatives to the internal combustion engine, it is yet to advance to a level that makes it competitive or viable in terms of consumer needs and wants. Although some electric vehicles have been marketed aggressively in places like California, they still make up only a small percentage of the market, and companies such as Honda and General Motors have quit producing them. Even in Europe and Japan, where gas costs 2 to 3 times more than in the United States, and where significant government and manufacturing subsidiaries are in place to support consumers in buying electric vehicles, they make up less than 2% of the market. Currently, the cost of alternative cars is much higher than standard vehicles. While mass production techniques will bring prices down, it may still be many years before they approach parity with the internal combustion engine cars. Concerns over the environment and fuel supplies have fostered an abundance of research to find alternatives to powering cars and other vehicles. Each new prototype of the engine of the future has demonstrated that replacing the efficient and dependable internal combustion engine will be a difficult and slow task. Even the Energy and Information Administration at the United States Department of Energy predicts that several decades will pass before any of the new technologies under development, including electric, fuel cell, and hybrid technology, will begin to have an impact on the market supremacy of the internal combustion engine. The versatile engine design, which currently powers more than 200 million vehicles in the United States, has been the backbone of the transportation industry for more than a century, and for good reason. We are where we are. The internal combustion engine. It's flawed, but it's the best we've got. So we need it, but we need it to be better than it was 100 years ago. We need to fix it for a real solution for the way people really live right now.